Today's topic is for members of the legal profession, a pretty significant one. The topic is what's a great law school and how do you tell what is a great law school? Well, the publication US News and World Report, starting back in the 80s, began ranking law schools and other schools, including business schools and colleges. And these rankings had and have a very significant impact upon both the schools themselves and the people that graduate. And the studies show that people that graduate from a top 14 law school are far more likely to get an offer into a large law firm with top pay. Moreover, they're far more likely to get a U.S. Supreme Court or Circuit Court clerkship, which opened the door to advancement within the profession. And a lot of the schools just below the top 14 struggle very hard in order to advance. Well, the existence and the power of these rankings was really unchallenged for a reasonably long time. And one of the Berkeley law deans that I heard talk about him said, well, of course, we don't really pay that much attention to the rankings, unless, of course, we rise in them, in which case we trumpet it. And Berkeley Law's own analysis showed that if a prospective student got into multiple schools, they were very likely to choose the school with the higher ranking if there was a split of more than 5 placement points. So what was it and what has it been that has unwound the power of these rankings? Well, a number of schools very recently, including Harvard, Yale, and for that matter, Berkeley, have withdrawn from the rankings and have said that they are no longer going to provide internal data that is used. And a number of the factors that were evaluated were what other schools and professors say about your school, how high the GPAs are on average coming in, what's the level of education of your faculty, and what's the average LSAT score coming in. Well, what this led many schools to do in order to bump up the rankings would be to entice students with very high admission scores at the LSAT and the GPA to come. And how do you do that? You offer them money. So what would happen would be these schools would offer scholarships to people that had no financial need at all, but would help bump up the ratings. Some schools did much worse than that. Columbia rose in the rankings from number 18 to number 2, and a math professor was very concerned that the data that was being submitted was false. It was false. It was falsified. They claimed class sizes that were not accurate. They claimed that 100% of their faculty had PhDs. That wasn't true. It was even worse for Temple, where a dean was criminally convicted of sending falsified data to US News. So along with the attacks on this ranking process, the ABA has indicated that they no longer want to mandate that a law school with certification even take the LSAT. So the majority of the top 14 law schools, and some not within the top 14, UCLA included, have withdrawn from participation in the rankings, which doesn't necessarily mean that US News won't continue to use data that isn't supplied because they make money from it. It increases their circulation. One of the strongest criticisms is that it tends to favor schools that have people that are going for the money and don't take enough interest in people who want to put their legal energies into public service or other areas in that like. What ultimately is going to happen? There will be some form of ranking and distinguishing between schools and scholars. But how that's going to be done has yet to be fully shaken out. The new era is coming, and anyone who's applying to law school and anyone who's hiring can see the writing on the wall. John Belcher, Law Offices of John Belcher.